Hi there, my name is Khalida. I am an ecologist from England and I have been living in Ecuador for about 5 years now. Before I came here I was living in Guatemala where I was teaching ecology in two different Mayan schools, which is when I started creating projects for environmental awareness and ecological awareness and sustainability, and we would have volunteers come and teach as well. When I came to Ecuador, I started a biodiversity conservation project with the Shiwia people, not the Shuar, the Shiwia. They live in a territory in Huincia, in very deep in the Amazon, which is only accessible via plane. And when we were there in 2012 with some volunteers, the military flew in a helicopter and they said they were mapping the area, and and we knew then that they were mapping it for oil. So it was after 2012 that things changed because the President Korea decided to sell off all the rainforest for oil, including Yasuni National Park. And so I had to put all my projects on hold because there's no biodiversity conservation projects to do when the forest has been exploited for oil, and the indigenous people were focused on fighting to keep their territory. So that was 800,000 acres of rainforest gone, and it still is being eroded. Ecuador is the smallest country which contains some of the Amazon basin. The Amazon basin continues to cover Colombia, Peru and Brazil. But here really there's no future for the Amazon rainforest. So I wrote a book last year regarding the issues of ecocide unfolding there, and a lot of my articles are about the same issues, but my approach now, or has been since back then, is to look at alternative solutions and how we can make positive change and use these alternative solutions to prevent ecocide from continuing worldwide, because our oceans are being heavily polluted, our forests, our last great wildernesses are being fracked, and this is because corporations have enough money to legally bribe or legally lobby politicians to rewrite the environmental laws, and therefore we have this unfolding ecocide worldwide. And this year we are reaching a record-breaking amount of oil consumption that we're taking out of the earth, over 1.5 to 1.7 million barrels of oil a day that we're taking out. And we should be focusing on reducing consumption of oil rather than taxing carbon emissions, which is barely a pollutant. I mean, there are far worse pollutants than carbon itself because it's plant food. And with these carbon taxes anyway, they don't prevent pollution, they just make bankers and politicians richer. And with 1.5 million barrels of oil being taken out of the earth each day out of places like this, we have this unfolding ecocide. So I've been looking at these alternative technologies such as the water fuel cell. I've been trying to raise awareness through my book which is called The Silent Ecocide. The environmental crisis is a crisis of human consciousness. The book explains the situation as to why we're going through the sixth greatest mass extinction, not with just this kind of exploitation, but with also geoengineering, and again the finances from that really does come from oil and these kinds of technologies from fossil fuels, because it pays to engineer the atmosphere in this way and keep other technologies such as free energy devices and over unity technologies and the science of the ether repressed. If we had free energy, we would dismantle the system and its way of gaining billions of dollars through extracting oil. We would dislodge and dismantle the cabal as they are and their means of gaining such power through using water fuel cells and solar energy in a nanotechnology way and plasma technology. We would be able to take out the foundation of their billions and move these technologies to a new, more sustainable paradigm. Once we implement this kind of technology in a more common way, and this year is a breakthrough year for this technology. I mean, it's taken a long time for the water fuel cell to break into the public market, and one of the problems with it is that the infrastructure is not backed up by politicians because they're bought out by the oil companies. So we need to support the infrastructure for water fuel cell cars and solar power cars to be able to refuel, recharge every several hundred thousands of miles. I mean, these cars can now go several hundreds of thousands of miles. They've been tried and tested in Australia. Every year in Australia there's a 300,000 mile solar car challenge, and many cars make this journey. So the technology is there, and this is why I'm saying geoengineering is backed by oil companies, because the more you bleach out the sun, the less effective solar energy is. Okay, and the more you promote climate change, as in global warming, and create the conditions for it, the more you create the conditions for global warming, and creating it they are with the big methane leaks and the pollutants into the atmosphere and whatnot, you're creating drought, situations for drought as well, and the price of water goes up, because that's what they want, because they realize that the water fuel cell is a threat to the cabal and their oil billions. So these are other reasons why we need to focus on free energy and alternative science, because it's a way to deal with and dislodge the power behind those who are funding geoengineering. So that's an aspect to consider as well. Plasma technology and nanotechnology breakthroughs this year, and the last year and the last few years have just been incredible. How far these alternative solutions have been able to break into the market, and the Keshe Foundation and Mehran Keshe, Mr. Keshe's work has been very valuable. His approach to spreading the free energy blueprints for devices that do work and have been tried and tested by thousands of different people all over the world. And also he has no problem with people evolving the devices, using their own ideas to change the devices to some degree. He's just happy to provide the blueprints and teach, because his main goal is to promote peace worldwide. And I truly believe that is his motive. I'm a student at the Spaceship Institute, and I know some people have contentions with this institute and the real motives behind Kesh, but the true motives are to promote peace and to allow people to be self-empowered. There's nothing else. There's no other agenda in that respect. And there are thousands of people all over the world that are putting these devices into good use and further teaching local people how to use these devices. And now in a place like Ecuador, indigenous people really would benefit from this. And it's very interesting how I came across the Kesh Foundation, because before I came across them, my vision for the future was to open an ecology centre where we would teach ecology and deep ecology philosophies with free energy blueprints, and give people the chance to become self-empowered and not have to spend money each month on a huge electricity bill. The electric companies here are very mafioso. That's how they operate. And if local people were able to create their own free energy systems, it would free up a lot of funds for locals, because it's very difficult to survive. Most people here have a very hard time surviving and live on less than a few dollars a day. And Ecuador is not cheap to live here. I've been here for 5 years and I've been struggling whilst I've been out of work as a wildlife biologist since the Ecocide started unfolding, and I find it really hard to get by. And you know, if I'm lucky each month, I'll make maybe 250, 300 max. So I can understand how local people really do suffer and struggle. So I'm trying to raise awareness in my way and support the Kesh Foundation and their vision, because it's part of my vision as well. As an ecologist, as an environmental biologist, I truly do see the value of what they're doing, and it's working. Whether people are critical of it or not, it's working worldwide. People are implementing this knowledge and passing it on and teaching others and empowering others. And this is the beginning of a new age. And it's not just Kesh devices available for people to build. There are many other free energy blueprints available on the internet. From the interviews I've done with different free energy scientists all over the world over the last 6 years, since 2010 on my podcast Sailing Beyond Knowledge Radio, and from my book, you can find all of this information in my last book, The Silent Ecocide, The Environmental Crisis is a Crisis of Human Consciousness Again. You can find that on Amazon.com. You can buy the paperback or Kindle. And my new book, Eco-Solutionaries, is a book that will have all of these incredible new technologies in great detail, and how you can use them in your communities, and where you can go to pass them on, and what you can do. Basically, there really is an incredible silent renaissance. And it's interesting because my last book was called The Silent Ecocide, but right now there's a silent renaissance going on, a silent revolution, but it will soon become more known. And my job as a writer, as an environmental journalist, because that's all I can do right now. I can't conserve the environment, but I can raise awareness and educate people about the importance of the environment, about the importance of conserving nature, about the importance of ecology and deep ecology, and how we're connected to the earth, and everything we do affects ecosystems, and we can't get away from that. The fact that 95% of cancers are caused by polluting the environment, environmental pollutants, is testimonial to the fact that we really need to be more ecologically literate. And again, this is part of the project of my book Ecosolutionaries, to raise awareness on how important ecology and alternative energy solutions are. So I really hope that this message is inspiring to you, as more and more people around the world are becoming self-empowered and doing something in their local communities, applying their passions, their interests in some way that will help bring forward this new paradigm, so that we can disengage from the matrix. We need one foot in the matrix right now, because obviously we need to pay our rent, pay our bills, eat, and so on and so forth. But while we have one foot in the matrix, we can also have one foot in the new paradigm. And we each need to be very courageous and brave. It takes a lot of courage and bravery and vision to do this, to move into an unmapped territory, a place where we can create a new way of being. We can create new systems for alternative health, for alternative energy, to create new systems for education and awareness in these alternative science. The ether is an energy here. It's the fifth element. It's the repressed element. It's the element that Wilhelm Reich and Rudolf Steiner and Gunther Waldschmidt talked about. It's where we can access energy and energy for healing, and it's part of the fabric of consciousness that flows through all living beings. And as I said, all this information will be in my book, Ecosolutionaries. So please support my endeavour, because I'm dedicated to the earth, I'm dedicated to humanity, protecting the earth and therefore the future of humanity. And I give all my time for this, and I sacrifice a lot for this, and I have over the last 20 years. So please just go to my crowdfunding site, provide a donation, a small donation of $1 or £1 or €1 would be just amazing, because it would help me complete my book project for the Ecosolutionaries. I can also do a book tour, which would allow me to also educate people on what's happening here in the Amazon rainforest and what they can do to help with regards to starting to look into these alternative solution technologies. So please just help support this very, very important message, because this is the way to step forward and create a new map for humanity, a more ecological map. And so therefore you are one of the map makers, you're one of the seed planters, and you're one of the bridge builders. And by unifying and collaborating, we can expand and create hope for the future by doing this. So thank you for your time, and thank you for listening, and please share this video. Thank you.